My guess is that you've got a feeling or a set of emotions that are a problem for you. And that's one of the reasons why you come to see me today. Now, we don't really need to go too much into the story, really. The feeling that you get that's a problem, on a score out of 10, how strong is that feeling?
At the moment, because it does change. I'd say at the moment it's probably about a 7.
So that's still pretty strong.
Yeah,
And how familiar is this feeling?
it's very familiar.
I thought it might
I
be.
struggle with it every day.
And when's the first time that you can remember feeling this feeling? Now, it may not be the first time it ever happened, but it is the first time you can remember now.
Yeah, it was when I hit puberty.
And
12, 13.
how vivid is this memory?
Quite vivid, yeah.
What I want you to do, don't move a muscle, look at my finger. Hold that memory in mind from 12, 13, puberty time. Keep thinking of that memory, head still, follow my finger. Hold that memory for as long as you can. Now, if your mind wanders or the memory fades, just bring your awareness back to that memory. I want you to hold on to that for as long as you can. Okay, that's good. Ooh, here and here. Now when you think about that memory, what happens?
Same as before, it's not strong.
How odd. Now the next one though, this is the important part, when you think about the feeling now, it was 7 out of 10. Now what happens when you think about it?
It's very hard to think about it, so I don't have the emotional triggers.
I want you to try as hard as you can to get any portion of that emotion that you can find.
There's just a teeny bit left, yeah.
On a score out of 10, how strong is that feeling?
It's about 3.
About a 3.
Yeah.
Still there then. Now I'm gonna suggest to you that this isn't the same feeling. It's the same kind of feeling. It's probably in the same kind of place in the body. But because it feels different, it's a different feeling. Because if it was the same feeling, it would feel the same. So this feeling, how familiar is this feeling?
It's quite familiar, yeah.
Again, I thought it might be.
Yeah.
And when's the first time that you can remember feeling this feeling? And again, it may not be the first time it ever happened. It's the first time that you can remember now.
For some reason, the sort of age of about 15 comes to mind.
How vivid is that?
Yeah, that's quite strong.
Thought it might be. Hold that memory in mind, look at my finger. We're going to do exactly the same as before, but with an additional component. Hold that memory, again, for as long as you can. But if other thoughts, images and ideas come to your awareness, or your mind wanders to other things, just allow that to happen and notice what other thoughts, experiences, ideas, images and pictures come to mind. Okay, that's good. Just go with that one. Oh, there's a good one. Okay, talk to me as we do this, actually. What's happening there?
It's very hard to hold on to that memory. Just concentrate on it.
Now what happens when you think about that memory?
I'm saying it's hard to remember now. It's not coming back. It's not coming back to me as strongly.
What about when you think about the feeling that was 3 out of 10?
Not there.
Okay, then do you have any other feelings that have been a problem for you that's brought you here today?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Can you just pick? I'm sure there's lots. Just pick one of them. Probably the worst one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now again, on a score out of 10, how strong is this one? That's a strong one. Well, this is the big one, isn't it? How familiar is this feeling? And again, when's the first time that you can remember feeling this feeling? And again, it may not be the first time it ever happened. It's the first time that you can remember now. Now, I need to just tell you at this juncture, I've only got 4 tissues left in the box. So we need to ration them, okay? When's the first time that you can remember feeling this feeling?
15, 16.
Okay, and again, it's how vivid is this? Same, okay. Head nice and still, look at my finger. Just the same thing, keep thinking about that time. Keep thinking about that time. Hold that memory in mind for as long as you can. Okay, that's good. Well done. And again, as your mind wanders and other thoughts and images come up, just go with those. Different times, different memories, different experiences. Head nice and still. Now, the logic of those don't need to make any sense at all, but just notice where your mind wanders to. What's happening there?
I'm just recounting lots of memories attached to.
What was the last memory you went to? Got it?
Yeah.
Okay, go back to that memory. Hold that memory. Again, same thing, hold on to that for as long as you can. But as your mind wanders and other thoughts come up like that one, just go with those. There's another one. What's happening there?
Feelings aren't as strong.
Yeah. When you think about that feeling now, the feeling that was 9 out of 10, now what happens?
It feels more distant, but it still feels there.
On a score out of 10, how strong is that?
Yeah, so it feels about 7.
About a 7. So it's still pretty high. And again, it's how familiar is this feeling?
It's quite familiar, and I tend to suppress it, so I don't have that one.
People are quite good at that. Feel bad on the inside, but present something really happy on the outside.
Yeah.
I heard of the term smiling depression once, where you know the person on the outside they're very, very good at presenting,
Yes.
but inside
Yes. Yeah.
it's smiling anger that scares me.
And also, it's not wanting to lose control.
I understand. Because the last thing you want is you're going out to buy a pint of milk, and the next thing you know, you're blubbering your life story to the girl on the till. Yeah, it's not what she was there for either, you know. So now, this is what, 7 out of 10? And it's quite familiar. When's the first time that you can remember feeling this feeling? And again, it's not necessarily the first time it ever happened. It's just the first time that you can remember now.
Probably about, difficult to say really, probably about 10 years ago or so.
And how vivid is that memory?
Very vivid.
Hold that one. Take my finger. This time I want you to hold on to it for as long as you can. If your mind does wander, bring it back. And just hold on to it for a little bit longer. Okay, there we go. And now as those other ones start coming in, those other experiences, just go with those and just allow your mind to wander. Okay, looks like they're coming thick and fast there. Okay, you can talk to me at the same time actually and describe to me what's happening for you. Here? Here?
Lots of different feelings coming up. Not necessarily memories as such, but just how I feel and how I felt over the years.
Okay, keep going, head nice and still. What about now?
The feeling isn't as strong.
How strong is it now?
About 5.
Now, it's probably about a 5. That's a probably about.
Yeah.
So what is it in terms of a score out of 10?
It'd have to be a 5.
It's a 5.
Yeah.
All right. I'd like to be specific about some of these things. Okay, so this 5 out of 10, again, this is a different feeling. Same kind of thing, but it's a different feeling. How familiar is this one that's 5 out of 10?
I'd say it's very familiar.
And when's the first time you can remember feeling this feeling?
Probably about the same at the time, I'd say.
Okay, and how vivid
Yes.
is that memory?
Very.
Hold that one, take my finger. Again, hold on to it for as long as you can. But again, if other thoughts, images and ideas, especially those long forgotten ones, they come to your awareness, just go with those. Okay, what's happening there? Again, talk to me at the same time. Okay, it's here and it's here.
It's from some childhood memories.
Now what's happened to that feeling?
It's diminished quite a lot.
Yeah?
Still there.
Mm.
It's diminished.
Still a little bit.
Yeah.
When you say it's still there, what sort of score out of 10 is it now?
Very low. It's about a 2.
About a 2. So what is it?
A 2.
Okay, see, I like to be specific. It's just one of those things. So now it's a 2. How familiar is this 2 out of 10 feeling?
It's very familiar.
When's the first time that you can remember feeling this feeling? And again, not necessarily the first time it ever happened, but it's the first time that you can remember now.
I think it's always been there. To be honest, I can't really specify when I first felt it. I think it's just always been there in the background.
You were born with the feeling.
I don't think I was, no.
Well, some people believe that.
No.
You know, birth trauma.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they do all that weird rebirthing stuff.
No.
All very odd.
Not at all.
You know. So when's the earliest time, the first time that you can
Probably
remember?
about 15. 15.
Okay, I understand with memory it can be about, because it's very
Yeah.
hard to be
Yeah.
specific. And again, how vivid is this memory?
Very vivid.
Hold that one. So what I'm going to do here is actually change direction, because we're going to do this. Okay, hold that memory for as long as you can. Hold that for as long as you can. Now what happens?
It's diminished. It's still there, very, very slightly.
How slightly?
About half.
It's about a half. No, it's either half or...
Half.
Okay, so we've got to be specific about these things. Let's do it again. How familiar is this one that's half out of 10?
It's familiar because it runs in the background.
Ah, it's one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Just to remind you, the little niggle. I noticed a pattern with a lot of people that have long-term pain.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the one that, it doesn't matter whether it's physical pain or psychological or emotional pain. There's this tendency to look for evidence the problem is still there, as opposed to looking for evidence of change.
Yeah.
I've worked with people both in rehab, but psychiatric rehab and neurological rehab, so they've had brain injury, often accompanied with other physical injuries. You can create 99% improvement, but if they can find 1% of the problem, I'm not fixed.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know how it is? What happens now when you think about one that's half out of 10?
Not very strong.
Okay, well, it's not strong, but still there.
Yeah, it's still there.
Okay, I just wanted to check in case it faded away, in which case it sometimes happens, you know. How familiar is this one?
Like I said, very familiar, one's in the background.
When's the first time that you can remember feeling this feeling? And again, it may not be the first time it ever happened.
15, 16 years ago.
How vivid is this one?
It's not as vivid as the others.
Mm.
It's just
Hold that one. Keep thinking about that one. Head nice and still. Ooh, there's a good one. Just go with those. Just notice where that takes you. And again, just notice what else is going on there. Go back to that one. Hold that one. Now what happens?
it's difficult to record anything.
Okay, marvellous. Okay, so that was what's the problem?
What do you mean?
Well, you've come here today for a session. I just wanted to find out really what I can do for you today.
Oh, I've been feeling depressed for a long time.
Mm.
But it's a sort of like an underlying depression.
An underlying, not an overlying depression,
No.
an underlying
It's
depression.
not one where anyone would ever notice or see.
Yeah,
It's just something that goes on internally.
yeah. And when you think about it now, what happens? Because what I like to differentiate between the story and the experience.
Yes.
And often the story will be maintained for years after the experience stopped. Well, that's really odd things. And I understand how that works, but it is a bit odd. So what happens now when you think about that state of mind?
Not really feeling it. Not like I used to.
Try harder.
No, definitely not feeling it.
Hmm.
Not even that underlying thing.
Oh, so what about the story?
Well, the story's still there.
Oh.
I don't think it has an emotional trigger. That's what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. Anyway.
So if you were to construct a different story now, what would that be?
How do you mean?
Well, you've got the story of your depression. But if that story were to change, how would it change? I've got this idea actually. Let's just try something else. Because in identity, because often these things become part of who we are.
Yes.
There's a huge difference between I am a depressive and I feel depression. You know what I mean?
I feel like I've learned to be unhappy. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, because it's part of who you are.
Yeah.
And there's always the question, when you stop being that way, how's anyone going to recognize you?
Yeah.
How would you recognize you? You know, you look in the mirror and you see this person looking back, you think, hang on, it's unfamiliar.
Yeah.
Now, in reference points of identity, there's 4 major points. I, me, self, and you. In fact, we're going to write these down. Just makes life easier. You see, people they say things like, I talk to myself.
Yeah.
My favorite one is, I'm really lazy. So I tell myself to go down the gym and do some exercise. But I never go. But I keep telling myself to go. And I go, how do you feel about that? And they go, I hate myself. Because I'm lazy.
Yeah.
That's really odd. You hear that separation? Now, these things, they're only really reference points in language, but they kind of work in a weird kind of way. I, me, self, and you. So I can talk to myself. I make time for me, which is very different to talking to myself. I can respect myself, like myself, hate myself, enjoy being by myself, can't stand being by myself. But I watched a film last night, and it really excited me. Me operates very differently. Now, just close your eyes, because I want to have a look at I, me, self, and you, and how you construct these particular reference points. Because when you think about the word I, hear the word I, and say the word I, whereabouts is I?
Actually, it feels like it's here.
Yeah, so it's right there. And how old is I?
I is quite young.
It's quite young. And what is happening around that I that is quite young?
I don't feel as though I've reached a stage of maturity.
Okay, I'm just going to write down your exact words. I don't feel as though I've reached. Did you say the stage of maturity?
Yeah. Or maturity.
Okay, we'll come back to that in a second. And when you think about the word me, hear the word me, and say the word me, whereabouts is me?
Oddly enough, it feels like there.
Yeah.
It feels like me.
Right. And how old is me?
Again, me is quite young.
And what is happening around that quite young me?
That's my playfulness, my mischievous nature, always looking for challenges and excitement and so forth.
I'm just writing that down again. Okay. What about self? When you think about self, hear the word self and say the word self. Whereabouts is self?
Self feels like all of me.
Yeah. Feels like all of me. And how old is self?
Self actually feels quite old.
And what's happening around that quite old self?
I just think I've put my body through too much. Through things like gaining weight, losing weight, overtraining, eating badly, eating well, eating badly, eating well. Thinking that I'm looking after myself, but I'm not really.
And when you think about the word you, say the word you, and hear the word you, whereabouts is you?
Again, you feels like it's here.
And how old is you?
You feels like my real age.
And what is happening around that you that is your real age?
Just feel like someone who's achieved a lot, done a lot with life, but I do a lot more. Hold myself back quite a lot.
Okay, you can open your eyes. So let's just run through this again. So I is very much in your chest. It's quite young. Don't feel as though you've reached the stage of maturity. Me is down here in the stomach, also quite young, and it's your playfulness, your mischievous nature, looking for challenges and adventure. Self is all of me. It's quite old, and put your body through too much. And you is very much here, your real age, and you feel like someone who has done a lot, achieved a lot, and you hold yourself back because you could do more.
Yeah.
So you hold yourself back, whilst I feel very young and not really fully mature, and so does me. Wow. At least they're communicating. Some people say, I can't stand being by myself. So I say, when you're by yourself, what do? Well, they sit. Just one of those weird things that people say. But I tend to hear them a lot more literally. Now, you is very much is here, where I is. One lady, when I asked this question, what she said to me was, well, you, oh, it's easy. You are my emotions. You are my emotions? And here, you are my real age. We'll come to that. Now, when you think about I, you see an awful lot of people, they still feel they're very young. Even though they're physically a lot older, they still feel young. And there's a huge bias in our culture towards youth. It's like, if I grow up and get older, I'll become boring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's this huge so even though we're in the adult body, we play like a childlike way. And when things don't quite work out for us and we feel bad, it can confuse us.
Yeah.
But we cling to that. It's one of those weird things that people do. Now, I want you to now just get in touch with I that's there in the chest. It's quite young. Haven't yet, we don't feel like you've reached the maturity. Keep thinking about I. Look at my finger. Keep thinking about I. Just hold that representation, that experience. Oh, that was weird. What was that? Not me hitting my knuckles, but... And what was that one?
I don't think it wasn't an overly conscious one.
Yeah.
I think a lot of stuff's going on subconsciously, because I'm not thinking loads and loads and loads and loads of things, but obviously something's going on there.
Okay, so now when you're thinking about I, what happens?
I don't have the same thought about it.
How what? All you've done is move your eyes around. Isn't that cool? Okay, what else?
Funny enough, I feel more mature.
So let me just check. So by moving your eyes around in a certain way, you feel more mature.
Yeah.
Is this a good thing?
Also childish and childlike.
Yeah. Okay, I just want to try this actually again. This is before we start the session, by the way. This is just the experiment we're doing. When you think about me that's down here, also quite young, your playfulness, mischievous nature, hold that one. Keep thinking about that experience. Oh, that was a good one. Let's see what that, here we go. What was that?
It's just like being around kids. I feel like my nephew's party yesterday and I watched him.
Okay, just notice what else comes up for you. Now what happens when you think about me?
I don't feel that same kind of sense of giddiness, of wanting to be childlike and do childlike things. I wouldn't want to lose that side of my character, to be honest. But I don't feel that sort of, like I said.
This old self. You know, some people don't even have a self. They go, I'm off to India to find myself, you know? Some people, they're developing themselves.
Yeah.
Some people are in search of their true self. I don't know where they're looking, but it is. When you think about the self, that's all of me. Hold that one in mind. Same thing again. Keep thinking about self. Now what happens?
I sort of brought up feelings of not liking myself.
Oh, because people do this.
Yeah.
I don't like myself. One lady said to me once, she said, I hate myself. Blimey. I said, what do you want? And she said, I want some self-esteem. And I said, do you think you're a bad person? She went, little tear came, she went, yeah. And I said, I think actually I have to agree with you. You see, if I hate myself, it's not a self-esteem issue. It's an issue about hate. But if I want now to have self-esteem, it's like I can carry on hating without any consequence. Didn't sound like a good recipe for happiness. Now the feeling that comes up for you, you know that feeling?
Yeah.
On a score out of 10, how strong is that?
It's high.
I thought,
9.
now
It's
I'd
either 9.
like to be specific. So it is 9.
Yes, it's a 9.
And how familiar is this feeling?
Very familiar. I battle with it every single day.
You battle with it. When's the first time you can remember feeling this feeling? Now again, it may not be the first time it ever happened, but it is the first time that you can remember now.
About 15 years ago.
Okay, hold that. How vivid is that?
Very vivid.
Hold that one in mind, look at my finger. Hold that memory in mind. Hold it for as long as you can, but again, if your mind wanders and other thoughts and experiences come up for you, just notice where that wanders to. That's good. Ooh, there we go, down here, down here. Okay, it's good. Here. What was happening there?
It's not as strong now.
Try and get it back.
I can still feel it, yeah, but it's not as strong.
How strong?
I'll put it at a 5.
How familiar is this one?
It's always there.
When's the first time that you can remember feeling this feeling?
This one was 7 or 8 years ago.
How vivid is this memory?
It's vivid.
Hold that in mind. Look at my finger. Now again, if your mind wanders and other thoughts and images come up for you, just go with it. Notice where you go to. What's happening there?
Just reliving the memory.
And now what happens when you think about that memory?
There's a bit of anger there, actually.
Ooh. So there's a bit of anger there. When you say a bit,
It's not like raging anger.
okay, so I don't have to move my chair back and...
Let me say.
All right, I like to know these things. Okay, so a bit of anger. How familiar is this anger?
It's one that runs in the background. It's not always there on the surface, but it's there.
A lot of people with anger issues are really, really good at disguising it. They can be really, really charming on the outside. Oh, thank you ever so much. Oh, that was wonderful, very helpful. Oh, I'm very grateful to you, thank you. And the moment they're out the doors, I'm never going back there again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that you?
I'd say so, yeah.
Oh, God. So now, I'm now caught in a problem. Because now I know this side of you. Can I believe you?
That's a good point.
I always say to my students, the people they must start to see for the first year of their clinical work is to specialize in people pleasers. Because the people pleasers will tell you everything you want to hear, and they will give you amazing ego boost,
Yeah.
even though they go away feeling worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yet the student's going, oh, I did great work there. That was amazing. So now I don't know what to believe with you. What do I do? How now, what am I supposed to do? You see, I'd hate to think of you negatively and go, well, I can't believe her.
Yeah.
But then, if I don't believe that thing, how do I know which bits to believe? You see how that works? It's like, I really don't want to, like, I've got a relative that does this. I don't want to call you a liar at all. But then I don't want to act on what you've said because I know that doesn't work for you so well. And then that makes you unhappy. So which way does it work? Do I create a relationship where I'm now skeptical? Or am I very trusting and believing and then take the full force of your emotions?
Yeah.
How familiar is this as an experience for you?
I'd say it's quite familiar.
When's the first time that you can remember doing this? Now again, it may not be the first time you ever did it,
Yeah.
but it is the first time you can remember doing it now.
I think I've probably always been a bit like it.
An awkward child. Were you one of those? Or were you very charming on the outside?
No, I'm very moody.
Oh,
I'm sulky.
you were the, oh, blimey.
If I had to do something I didn't want to do, but the rest of the time I was fine.
Yeah. See, some people have this two-state control thing. They'll use anger to get what they want. When that doesn't work, they do the mood.
Yeah.
You know, I can alternate between crying and that to manipulate you, or I'll rage and do it that way. And basically, you've got to hope you catch me somewhere between the two. Or just give me what I want.
Yeah.
Because life's unfair and I didn't ask to be born. So when's the first time that you can remember? Now, it might not be the first time it ever happened, of course. It's just the first time that you can remember now.
Sort of 12, 13, age group.
How vivid is that?
Very vivid.
Hold that memory in mind. Now, hold on to it for as long as you can. Keep thinking about that. But if your mind wanders and other experiences come up for you, and you bounce around through different periods of time, just notice where you go. And notice what other thoughts and experiences come up for you. Okay, what's happening there for you? What's going on there?
I'm just remembering how I sort of used to behave when I was younger to try and get what I wanted. And sort of even use that in my adult years, like at work and what have you. And I think I must have come to some point where I thought, well, I can't really do this anymore.
Because kids have strops,
Yeah.
but adults get clinical disorders. You know?
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? It's like, no, I'm not having a mood. I've got a condition. That's how it works. Well, you just can put better stories to the experience, you know. What happens when you think about it now?
I feel quite removed from it, to be honest.
Oh, okay. So I'm lost actually. Where were we? Was that self we were looking at? Oh yes, we were. It was self, and a bit of anger came up.
Oh yes, yeah. Not feeling the anger.
Try harder.
No, not feeling the anger.
Okay, now when you think about self, what comes up for you?
It's quite a pleasant feeling.
Nice, because before you had it
Yeah,
quite old.
yeah. No, it's quite a nice feeling.
Okay, now one more to go, and that's you. You. The lady that said to me, "You are my emotions," she said it without any hint of that being an unusual thing. And she had two qualities. She was a gift for any student therapist. One of them was that she was a people pleaser. Because if you are my emotions,
Yeah.
then, you know, I've got to make sure you're happy because that's my emotional state. But the other one is she was a rescuer. Men, mostly. Until they didn't need her anymore.
Right.
And of course they didn't need her anymore, so then they'd dump her. And she would go on to rescue the next poor
Yeah.
soul.
Yeah.
Animals and, you know, any suffering in the world would make her unhappy because if you are my emotions, anything that you are feeling is happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Is that you? I only ask that as
Not to such a great degree. I do have this sort of wanting to look after people and make them better.
You could become a professional therapy, as in the person people deliver the therapy to.
Yeah.
Especially people starting out, because you could bolster their self-esteem and egos. Because therapists have needs too, you know, it's just one of those things I've noticed about them. So there's you that's in the chest there, your real age, Feels like someone who has achieved a lot, but also you hold self back. Go to that you that holds self back, the you that could do so much more. Hold that. What happened there?
I was just thinking through all the things that I've done and why I don't progress any further with them.
And the why that you don't progress any further with them, is that a decent explanation?
No, it's a question that it's not answered. I don't feel.
Hmm.
I don't know the answer to that one.
I don't. I've got to say, I probably don't either. So now, what happens when you think about you?
I still have that same feeling.
Oh, what feeling?
The feeling of not pushing myself further.
Now that feeling of not pushing yourself further. Which direction do you push yourself?
Forward.
I've often wondered about this pushing yourself, how that actually works. It's like trying to lift yourself up by your bootstraps. Anti-gravity machines, you know. If I pull myself feet up, I'll float. And if I push myself, it doesn't really work so well. The feeling of pushing yourself, how familiar is this one?
It's very familiar.
When's the first time that you can remember doing this? Now again, it may not be the first time you ever did it, but it's the first time you can remember trying to push yourself.
20s.
All right. And how vivid is this memory?
Very vivid.
Hold that. Keep thinking of those memories from when you're in your 20s. And if your mind wanders, notice, there we go, notice where you wander to. Okay, that's good. Just go with those. Now what happens when you think about you?
The feeling's still there.
Oh, it's a persistent one, this, isn't it?
It is.
Mm.
Yeah.
Is it the same as before?
It's not as strong.
Mm.
It feels more distant. Probably where it should be. But it's still there.
It's still there, but not as strong, and it's more distant.
Yeah.
Okay, how distant?
Quite distant.
It's
yeah.
quite distant. And when you say it's still there, where?
In the ether, just floating around somewhere.
Yeah. Where? I see, I like to be specific,
Yeah.
you know?
Just
I mean, is it there?
No, it just feels like it's around me.
It's around you.
Yeah.
Now that feeling that's around you,
Uh-huh.
what's that like?
It's not an unpleasant feeling or anything like that. I think it's a bit like a feeling in a state of limbo.
How familiar is this limbo feeling? When's the first time you can remember feeling this limbo feeling?
It must have been the 15, 16.
All right, now how vivid is that memory?
That's very vivid.
Hold that memory. And again, hold on to it for as long as you can, but if your mind starts to wander, other thoughts, experiences and ideas come up for you, just go with those. Can you talk to me? What's happening there?
I'm just thinking about
What about that one? Often the picture changes before you can describe the first one.
Yeah. No, it's just when I moved back down to, I've lived in Cumbria for a while, I moved back down to London. And I hadn't prepared for it at all. And I'm like just thinking, what the hell am I doing here? I've kind of felt like that ever since.
Now what happens when you think about that time?
Feels very different.
And now what happens when you think about the feeling?
I'll get it back.
Yeah. Even though it was really persistent,
Yeah.
it's now.
Yeah.
Okay, so now tell me, we've gone through a number of different things today. Now what happens when you think about the thing that you were about to tell me as being the problem?
Doesn't feel like it's there.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about it yet.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do for the film?
Don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so now, just tell me when you think about it, what actually happens, what is the feeling, what has happened for you, what is different? Really, I'm just after now some feedback from you, just to find out your experience. Because of course I'm going to be distrusting of it.
Well, initially when I came here, even though I felt really chirpy and was very sort of bubbly, and I was kind of thinking to myself, oh, I don't really feel that bad today. But a lot of those feelings were very deep-seated, always running in the background. So no matter what I did, no matter how much enjoyment I got out of it, it was always there. I mean, I won't know, I don't think I'll know day to day how different I feel, but at this present moment in time, I'm not trying to please you, I do feel very different. I just feel relaxed, I feel chilled. Yeah, I just, no, I wouldn't say I feel wildly happy, but I just feel comfortable, relaxed.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to email you or phone you in about a week's time. Basically further feedback from you, find out your reflections on the session.
Yes.
Going to find out what your experiences following the session are, and any reflections and thoughts that you have.
Right.
So it's most likely to be next Friday, this coming Friday, or next Monday.
Okay.
Any questions about anything we've done today?
Can't think of any, to be honest. Quite amazed.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you.